The most powerful creative state you experience all day is the one you consciously abandon. Those few minutes just before you fall asleep are when your mind is most open to instruction, a period where the barrier between your conscious desires and your subconscious programming almost dissolves. This is a description of a neurological window of opportunity. And you are already using this window every single night, almost certainly to reinforce a reality you say you want to change. Every evening, you drift through a unique phase of consciousness known as hypnagogia. It's that hazy, dreamlike borderland between being awake and being asleep. Your thoughts become fluid, images pop into your mind without effort, and the rigid logic of your daytime brain begins to loosen its grip. Think of your conscious mind as a security guard standing at the gate of your subconscious. All day long, this guard is vigilant. It analyzes, it judges, it questions every piece of information. When you say, "I am wealthy," the guard immediately steps in and says, "No, you're not. Look at your bank account." This guard is your critical faculty, and its job is to protect your current model of reality. But as you get drowsy, that guard gets sleepy. His head starts to nod. His attention wanders. During hypnagogia, the guard essentially goes on a coffee break, and this is when the gate is left wide open. The suggestions you entertain in this state bypass that critical filter. They walk straight into the control room of your operating system. That's why the worries you mull over at 11:30 at night feel so intensely real and permanent. The guard isn't there to challenge them. He isn't there to remind you that things might look different in the morning. Your subconscious takes the fearful images and feelings you're marinating in as direct commands. It accepts them as the literal truth. This brief window is the most suggestible you are all day. And what happens when a suggestion gets planted at that depth? Your subconscious mind is the engine running your life. It controls your heartbeat, your breathing, and your digestion. It also runs your deeply ingrained beliefs, your emotional reactions, and your habitual behaviors. It is a powerful servant that operates on a simple principle. It executes whatever program it is given. It has zero sense of humor. It lacks the ability to tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It only understands the language of feeling and conviction. So when you lie in bed replaying the argument you had with your boss, feeling that hot spike of anger or humiliation, you are doing more than just remembering an event. You are feeding a specific emotional program directly into your subconscious. You are instructing it. The instruction is, this is the reality we live in. This feeling of being disrespected, this is our baseline. Find more of this. Your subconscious, the ever-obedient servant, says, "Okay, master," and gets to work. It will then subtly guide your perceptions and actions the next day to create more situations that generate that familiar feeling of being disrespected. You might interpret a neutral email from your boss as passive-aggressive. You might walk into a meeting with a defensive posture that invites conflict. Your subconscious is simply running the program you installed the night before. This isn't magic, it is biological programming. The brain is an efficiency machine designed to automate processes. It learns from repetition, and the most potent form of repetition is emotional. And this nightly rehearsal explains why some negative loops feel completely unbreakable. There's a fundamental principle in neuroscience known as Hebb's law. It's often summarized as neurons that fire together, wire together. Every time you have a thought or feel an emotion, a specific network of neurons fires in your brain. The more you repeat that thought or feeling, the stronger the connections between those neurons become. They develop a fatty coating called a myelin sheath, which makes the signal travel faster and more efficiently. Eventually, it becomes a neural superhighway. It becomes the brain's default path. This is how habits are formed. Think about the feeling of anxiety about money. The first time you felt it, it was just a faint trail in the woods. But if you lie in bed night after night, rehearsing the feeling of scarcity, visualizing bills you can't pay, feeling that tightness in your chest, you are actively paving that trail. You are turning it into a 4-lane interstate. Your brain becomes so good at running the anxiety about money program that it can be triggered by the smallest thing. The default neural pathway for money now leads directly to anxiety. You've trained it to. You've spent countless hours in that drowsy, suggestible state, practicing the exact emotional state you want to escape. It's like spending every night at the gym, training only your left bicep, and then wondering why your right arm is so weak. You've been meticulously rehearsing for a future you claim you do not want. The good news is that this mechanism is completely neutral. It works the same way in reverse. So how do you start paving a different road? The practice is to consciously choose the feeling you inhabit during that pre-sleep window. This is often called entering the state akin to sleep, or SATS. It involves getting physically still and relaxed to the point where your body is on the verge of sleep, but your mind is still aware. From this deeply relaxed state, you shift your focus from the problems of your day to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You must be specific about the feeling. If you desire a better job, what is the feeling associated with having it? It might be the feeling of relief, the feeling of pride when you tell your family, the feeling of quiet confidence walking into your new office. You choose one of these feelings. Then you loop it. You feel it in your body as if it were happening right now. You don't just think about the relief, you allow your shoulders to drop and your breathing to deepen as if the relief is already present. You feel the warmth of pride spreading through your chest. You are generating the end state, emotionally and physically, before the event has occurred. This is the new instruction. You are telling your subconscious, this feeling of relief and security, this is our new baseline. This is our reality now. Go and create circumstances that match this. You hold that feeling until you drift off to sleep. You marinate in it. You let it be the last thing you are aware of before you lose consciousness. Many people dismiss this, assuming it's just a form of positive thinking. They're missing the entire point. It has very little to do with your thoughts. It has everything to do with the instruction you are giving your nervous system. A common objection is, but it feels fake. I'm lying in bed feeling stressed, and trying to feel successful just feels like lying to myself. This is where you have to understand a critical detail about your brain. Your subconscious responds to the emotional signature, the feeling, far more than it responds to the objective facts of your external world. When you watch a suspenseful movie, your heart races. Your palms sweat, your body is physically reacting as if you are in danger, even though your conscious mind knows you are safe on your couch. The vividly imagined scenario created a genuine physiological response. The body believed the feeling. The same principle applies here. The goal is to generate an emotional state so convincingly that your body begins to believe it's real. At first, it might feel like acting. That's fine. The key is persistence. Your job is to generate the feeling, even if it's faint at first, and hold it. Think of it like this. Your subconscious has been running the I am struggling program for years. The neural pathways for that state are deep and efficient. When you introduce the new I am thriving program, it feels foreign. The signal is weak. But if you do it tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after, you are firing a new set of neurons. You are starting to build a new pathway. Soon, the new feeling becomes less of an effort. It feels more natural, more familiar. Because you are literally building the neurological architecture to support it, you are giving your subconscious a new blueprint. The feeling is the instruction. And once that instruction is accepted, your perception of the world begins to change in ways that are hard to explain. This is where the process connects to your tangible waking reality. Buried deep in your brainstem is a bundle of nerves called the reticular activating system, or RAS. One of its primary jobs is to act as a filter for your attention. You are bombarded with billions of bits of sensory information every second. The RAS is the gatekeeper that decides what tiny fraction of that information gets through to your conscious awareness. And how does it decide? It bases its filtering decisions on what you have programmed it to believe is important. It shows you what you've told it to look for. If you fall asleep marinating in the feeling of being lonely and overlooked, you have programmed your RAS to search for evidence of that. The next day, you will be hyper-aware of every time you're left out of a conversation. You will notice the couple holding hands on the street. You will interpret a friend's busy schedule as a personal rejection. Your RAS is efficiently filtering your reality to match your core emotional belief. It's actively hiding evidence to the contrary. You might miss the friendly smile from a stranger or the invitation you overlooked in an email because your filter is set to lonely. Now, imagine you spend a week falling asleep in the feeling of being deeply connected and valued. You are giving your RAS a new search query. You are telling it, connection is important, show me evidence of it. Suddenly, your brain starts to let new information through its filter. You notice the coworker who asks about your weekend. You see an ad for a local group that shares your hobby. You feel more open to starting a conversation yourself. The external world didn't magically change. Your filter did. You're simply becoming aware of what was already there. You are tuning your perception to a different frequency. The opportunities were always present. You just lacked the neurological equipment to perceive them. You have been writing the script for your next day every single night of your life. The last dominant feeling you hold as you drift into unconsciousness is the primary instruction you give your subconscious mind. It's the headline for tomorrow's newspaper. That feeling sets the filter for your RAS. It dictates the emotional baseline you will return to. It reinforces the neural pathways that define your personality. You have been doing this automatically, based on the residue of your day. You've been letting the day's frustrations, worries, and disappointments write tomorrow's story by default. The entire process is about seizing conscious control of that single pivotal moment. It is about deciding, deliberately, what headline you want to print. It's choosing the feeling of the wish fulfilled and making that the final input before the system goes into its nightly cycle of repair and reinforcement. You are already an expert at this. You have expertly manifested the life you currently have by unconsciously practicing the feelings associated with it night after night. The only question is whether you will continue to run the old program, or if tonight you will decide to install a new one. This same filtering mechanism is why your entire reality seems to conspire to keep you in a bad habit. Your brain is perfectly tuned to see a world that justifies the old behavior, making change feel like swimming against the current of reality itself.